Welcome to Launch Today, the podcast focus on what it takes to get your startup or new business to $1 million or more in revenue. From marketing tactics to incredible guest interviews, we focus on behind-the-scenes insights from masters in their field. If you want to grow the revenue for your startup or your business, you don't want to miss today, because today's guest revolutionizes how brands and creators collaborate to drive authentic engagement and measurable results. Taylor Hoekstra is the founder and CEO of Popfly, a fast-growing content marketplace and collaboration software built specifically for outdoor and adventure brands that have recently secured $2 million or more in seed funding. With a unique background spanning from Capitol Hill to tech countries to even farming, that's unusual, Taylor brings a fresh perspective in solving inefficiencies plaguing brand/creator collaboration in the outdoor industry. Taylor, thanks for coming on the show.
God, thanks, Trevor. Thanks for having me.
I always like to ask the same question to start, which is, why do you do what you do?
Great question. So I've had a unique background, as you alluded to there, and it's always led me to trying to solve what I viewed as a problem in a space and match it with an opportunity to do something about it. And when I was at Farmers Business Network, which is a startup and large growing scaling company I was at before, Popfly, I was tasked with growth. And I was on the executive leader in the growth team. And I started with massive goals, having raised A, B, C, D, all the different rounds of capital. We had massive growth goals. And so I was put in a place that seemed like no win. And I turned to throwing stuff at the wall. And one of those things was farmer influencers. Okay. And didn't know where this was going to go. Was trying a lot of different things. And lo and behold, this blew the roof off of things. And so when I saw that opportunity, I also saw the impact it was having on those content creators and influencers' lives and how they were, whether it was spending more time with their family or just generally feel happiness or joy. I got super obsessed with it on two levels and decided to dive in, start learning about it and figure that things out. And now fast forward to where we are today and what keeps me going. I think the creator economy is a space that has a lot of opportunity to influence the livelihoods of a lot of different people doing what they truly want to do and love to do. A lot of the people that I interact with truly love video editing or creating or doing these certain things. I think it's a part of us that are built that way. And if I can do that in a large impact scale way, then it keeps me going every day.
Awesome. It is phenomenal to have something that wakes you up excited. You mentioned that brand creator collaborations were merely tolerable in your experience. What's the specific moment where you went, this is trash, and I need to be the person to fix it?
So while I was studying the category, this was about an 18-month period of just asking questions, launching businesses, monetizing those businesses, shutting them down, trying something new. Something that I was doing was managing content creators. So I started getting myself into some of the largest snowboarders on TikTok and invested in those people and learned how much they were making, what it took to make any money at all on the platform, off those platforms. And I realized that it was just basically trash and that it was very hard and that people with super skills didn't have it figured out at all. And so I did that for a handful of months. Then I got obsessed with, okay, so is it so bad? Why are the big bad brands not rewarding these people for their skills? And I realized that they were also dealt a really unfortunate hand in a very nuanced place where everyone's trying to get their attention. So I started managing the social media and the marketing efforts for brands as well. So I literally did the work on both sides and realized just how nuanced and interesting it was and how more and more opinions were coming into it all the time. And so in opinions coming into it, what I meant by that is for a while, there was just like the intern social media manager, like he was able, that's all that it mattered. And now the CEO, the founder and the chief legal officer and the sales team, they all care. They all give a crap about this stuff. And so now the social media managers, I have 15 internal stakeholders and I have 100 content creators I've worked with over the past 6 months, and I've got everything's flying everywhere. And so I realized that both sides were just set up to lose. And yet the space was growing really quickly. And there was a lot of fun to be had in it. There was fast moving water. And so that's when I decided to jump in.
That's awesome. The outdoor creator space seems to, I think, do a better job of being authentic than a lot of the other ones out there.
Yeah.
What do you think makes this space different from other creator spaces, and how does this change hopefully, for the better the ROI that founders should be paying attention to.
Yeah. So I think part of the reason that outdoor content is more authentic generally is if I think you got to give it to who the credit where it's due first. It's the creators themselves. They're outside, they're dog loving, sustainable creators who are just generally happier people. And so that was one of the maybe four reasons that I started targeting this space, is just because it's more delightful and pleasant to work in with those people. But I think the other reason that it is more authentic, so to speak, is this industry, outdoor and recreation, so to speak, is about 4 to 5 years behind other fast moving categories, electronics,
Oh, interesting.
makeup and beauty, things like that. They always just adopt technologies faster. I will tell you that the REI probably didn't have a Twitter profile before Sephora did. And the reason
Fair
is,
enough,
is
yeah.
it's just, it comes farther behind. And so that means that the market is also way less mature, meaning there's way less money flowing through it. And so there's just an opportunity to build it the right way from the ground up, because there's a lot more blue ocean, green space, whatever you want to say. That was where we got targeted there. There's just less of it. So you got the creators who are just naturally maybe more authentic, and there's just less of it happening. And so it's less defined how it works. And I think these brands know that outdoor consumers, if you're founding an outdoor brand, you know that your consumers only relate to people who know what they're talking about if they're going to spend the money it takes to buy something. In the outdoor space, then they really craft and slow it down to get authentic content. They're not going to post things that aren't, because they know it just doesn't work where it might work in other categories.
I like that. I think on your LinkedIn, I think you mentioned it's hard to do the easy thing with brand creator partnerships.
Right.
And I agree, right? Part of what differentiates anybody who's good at execution from bad at it is not that the things you must do are so complex. It's just hard to be consistent at them.
Yes.
How is what you're doing with Popfly making these simple things easier, and how are you at Popfly more tactical in solving them?
Yeah. So starting with the first one, I think how Popfly, the platform, is promotes and helps this out is, it's keeping centralizing a lot of the work that's being done in one space. So you can log into something similar to how look at the sales is one of the hardest jobs that I've certainly ever had, and certainly hard to hire for. And it's, I think it's maybe the hardest job in business, and it has so much pressure on it all the time. It isn't that someone needs to be an absolute genius or needs to be ultra creative to be a good salesperson. They just have to do a lot of things well enough, and they have to work hard. And a tool like Salesforce helps them have a dashboard, a place where things are centralized so that they know what the heck they got to do today. It's not all that hard stuff. They got to make these 50 phone calls. Here's the people they need to call. Here's the emails we need to send. Here's the secrets that are going on in the background. So Salesforce really helped up levels salespeople and it actually changed sales as an entire profession. And so with Popfly, it's not too dissimilar, is the fact that we're hosting a lot of the conversations and the collaboration on one place. And so you can log in somewhere and have a big part of what you're doing ready baked for you to just move and do all of those 50 different things all in one platform for those people. And I think that's important, as Popfly views itself as a collaboration software versus an influencer discovery tool. And so we view ourselves as a collaboration software with the creator economy integrated in, it. And so
Gotcha.
that's how we view a place where you can do a bunch of different things, responding to threads, DMs, uploading content, checking what the most recent version of the content is that way. I think as a founder and how we do things at Popfly, I think founders often have they know what they need to do. And it's not even that it's all difficult to do it. We can get into specifics if you'd like, Trevor, but I think the hard part is when there's 1,000 easy things to do, stack ranking, sequencing, and prioritizing those things is really hard. And there's no true founder OS out there that helps you just kind of do, here's all the different things I need to do. And so for me, when I've seen success with Popfly as a founder, is building off of what I'm trying to do with our company for marketing, content marketing people. And that is prioritizing the right things and making sure we're consistently doing them. It could be LinkedIn posting for some people. It could be creating videos for others. It could be writing lines of code for more. But you need to have a priority and a stack rank to those things, and then just try to move down that list. Usually isn't, unless it's a a deep tech company. Like you're not really doing anything that isn't, it's just the hard part is always doing the easy things, I think.
I get it. Cool. The moment when you built a product of some kind and you start to see users who are getting it, who are like, oh, yes, this is what I wanted. That's a really memorable moment. Do you remember when that happened for you at Popfly and what you saw that you were like, yes, people are using this the way I thought they would?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's always good for founders to take the little wins along the way and then also remember those things. I think there was a part of me when I built other companies in the past that I had like a grand vision of what things could look like. And even like the little wins of, hey, they're using it this way. I never really sat in those or was excited about those because I knew that someday this would do something much, much bigger. And I think it's sometimes that complexity will actually overwhelm the simplicity of what things could be earlier. Honestly, so I built the platform over a few weekends in July 2023. And then we had creators signing up for it organically in July already. And then we had a handful here and there to write home about, but enough that I was like, okay, this is interesting. And I think the first moment actually was before there was even a brand concept there. And they were starting to interact with each other or talk to each other about what was coming. And they were able to share, like, I really hope this works. Like this little vision that seems to be there. I really hope this works. That was the first time. Not they're like spending time. They're not just saying like on a phone call, yeah, Taylor, this is great. I hope it's cool. It's just for me. I hope this works. Like selfishly, I hope this works. That's what the first time. And then when we had our first 5 brands, stacked the deck a little bit and was fortunate to have some really cool brands. And then when a brand like Extra Tough or the North Face or Pack Apparel, which were our first 3, and Camp Chef, those were our first 4 campaigns that were launched. We saw creators and brands starting to interact with each other, brands were starting to bring creators on. Creators were saying, you can find more of me on here. And I saw the network effect just start to trickle through. And then of course there was like a million things that creators asked for because it's a very simple tool and brands asked for. But that was the moment where I'm like, if they care enough to find my number or my email and ask for a feature because this is like now valuable enough, there were people like putting Popfly creator on their LinkedIn, like all of a sudden, like within 3 weeks, I was like, oh, there's a little network effect starting. It's our organic growth. A brand brings more creators, big more brands. When the North Face launched their campaign on Popfly, I think we were sending up 500 creators a day while that campaign was live.
Nice.
Engaged creators who are taking advantage of the entire software. Even though North Face maybe selected 12 creators total, we saw that kind of turn. So that's probably the moment.
Yeah, that must be a great moment. When you're coordinating campaigns, I'm a marketer more than a builder, and definitely organizing campaigns with third parties is
Yeah.
fraught because
Yeah.
there's inevitably the data gap where
Mhm.
you thought you explained things clearly, and then you see what they do, and you're like, how the heck did you get there from here?
Yeah.
When you're working with creators and with brands, how do you help them come to a point together? And what would you say to any founder who's executing, whether it's outdoor
Yeah.
content creator or
Yeah. It
anything?
doesn't matter.
How do you make it so that you don't screw this up when you launch it?
Yeah, exactly. So this is not something that is fully solved problem. And as a marketer, you know that. And so the
Yeah.
point when I talk about collaboration software, what I really mean is like faster, better, easier information transfer between the parties. And so it's between the brand, the marketer, and the creator. For us, Popfly uses Popfly as a customer, right? So we're working with tons of content creators ourselves. The real difficulty, the real hard part is not finding the right creator. That is difficult and hard. Popfly makes that really easy. But the difficult thing is like aligning and staying aligned and keeping that thing going in a very fast time. So what I think it starts from a behavior perspective first. I am going to dedicate my time and my attention to this as a founder because it is worth it. I value brand. I value marketing. I'm going to spend money on this. I think that's actually one of the hardest parts. But as soon as you do that, now there's tools like Popfly that can help thread conversations on a piece of content level. So you have like general chat, but you also have chat next to a piece of content. So you can say, okay, this isn't exactly what we put in the campaign brief. This isn't yet this is what I'm looking for from here. These are the exact tweaks I want you to make on a video level. I think that's really important because as there's two different parties, they are moving in different directions at times. And so the best way to solve that is as much constant, fast communication as possible. So setting yourself up with the right person or team to make sure that happens is important.
Gotcha. I think also centralized good documentation that you want people to all refer back to. Agency work is all about repeatability, right? And this is,
Mhm.
in many ways, when you're running a creator marketing campaign, they are now outsourced freelancers of an agency you spontaneously made.
Yeah,
SOPs and being able to just show people like, no, do this, and here's exactly how is crucial to make something like this complex work.
such a
Let
good
me
point.
ask, you recently secured seed funding, I think $2 million round.
Yep.
That's the dream for many founders. What was it about Popfly that you think made it where they will get, like, investors want to invest in you, and as opposed to anybody else in the space, they went, this is interesting. What was it about you?
Yeah. I could preface it with, I think you hear about this a lot, but I wasn't truly looking for capital, certainly not that much capital. I have generally ignored a lot of inbound venture capitalists to me, funds generally. I think what brought the fact that I had decided a long time ago that I was going to be in charge of our own destiny and be able to create where things go and not build for the VC hype cycle is what kept Popfly alive for a long time when nothing freaking worked for different times. Um, but that also set us up with some fundamentals of how I think about the business, where I go, how we grow, what I'm willing to do to get growth. I think that all added to the story. I think outside of that, I think it was I demonstrated what Taylor has done in the past and what he's willing to do for this company. I think was a big part of it. At this stage in a seed company, our lead investor and all of our follow-on investors were really betting on myself able to pivot and move through and make all the right moves over the next series of changes, quarters. But ultimately, there's a little bit of something to back it up. Like he has moved, he has pivoted, he has gained traction, he has revenue, he's gotten to profitability. All of these things were really important for people to come in, be a true partner, and let me choose exactly who I wanted to be our investor, which is not something everyone gets to do.
That is very
And so,
fortunate, yeah.
yes. And then I think the final thing was we, I do, we have a vision that that send this company into a $100 billion company. And so we see the path, we see the future. We know that likelihood is the risk of it. The chances are not 100%, but we know what it would take to get there. They're actually really low, but they're big enough. And I was able to articulate that vision. And being someone who could both sell and build helped as well. So I didn't have to rely on someone else to decide if I'm good enough to start a company. And that helped me find the right teams, bring on the right engineering help, bring on the right set marketing help, and have like kickstart things.
Phenomenal. I think what I heard from what you were saying, the general core economics were solid. That matters. Your ability to tell a story of the vision was also
Mhm.
crucial in them seeing not just because VCs work on the right. We make 100 bets and one of them goes 1,000x, and
Yeah.
so that pays for the other 99 that went nowhere.
Yeah.
And that you're able to convince people the grand vision. Every founder who's going VC track has a grand vision, but most can't convince the VCs that this
Yeah.
is an actual potential outcome. So
Yeah.
that's what I heard that you said made Popfly stand out. And those are part of it is you built, you show you can build, and the other is I've got a vision of where we could go. And then folks are at seed round, they're betting on you, right? And they're saying, hey, Taylor's the guy to make this happen.
Yeah. That's right.
So phenomenal. As you can probably tell from the books behind me, I love a good book. Is there a audiobook, a podcast, a book, like whatever that you think founders should read because it will help them on their journey?
Yeah. There's two, and they're actually I'm gonna give two. One is the main one that I recommend, and the second one is a business-ish book. Um, I'll start with the business book, which is How to Get to Plan B by Randy Komisar. Randy Komisar was key lead investor at Farmers Business Network. I got to meet him personally. He basically said the point of starting a company is to get to plan B because plan B is going to be better. So don't get frustrated. Look for it. Launch with all these leaps of faith, and then build the thing that actually works and matters. That is every single company I've started. It's true. And most founders that I'll start a company with, and there's a bunch of founders all bushy-tailed, most fail because they're forced to pivot for maybe the second time. And it's very embarrassing and it's hard and it's ugly. And they want to tell people at Christmas parties that, dang it, it's not successful. So they fail and they quit. Most of them have quit there. I think if you approach it with this isn't actually the thing. That's the thing. I just can't see that yet, but this is the thing that's going to drive me over there. Really quick synopsis. I do think that was an impactful book for me. But the book that I would really recommend is called Endurance. And this is Shackleton's Voyage to the End. And that, if I only ever read one book as a founder, that is the book that I would rate, because he was given, it articulates a founder's journey perfectly. It is a bunch of crap, eating, nothing works. You move forward, you get kicked in the nuts. And so you move 5 steps forward and you have a great day. And then someone shoves you 14 steps back. And then the goals change all the time. And what Shackleton did in this voyage was not accomplish his goal, but the ultimate goal, which is to get across. But it was, now his goal was to save the lives of everyone. And he was able to do that. There was 0% chance any of them should have survived. He kept them all alive through good spirits in the worst of times. He used the most of the very limited resources that he had. He trained up a culture of people who are going to survive and make it to the end. He leaned on ways to entertain. He just kept spirits high when friggin' nothing works. And I think there's nothing more. It helps you separate, because Popfly, every startup is grueling and impossible. It keeps you grounded in the sense of this is life or death, freezing cold. And he was able to just persevere at all times through a random assortment of techniques. All of those techniques, I think, have a direct approach to how startups go. It really is just gnawing your own teeth and not quitting and not deciding that you're going to die as a startup or whatever. So for sure, that one.
Never gotten that recommendation before. That was an excellent recommendation. I love it.
Read?
I have not. I'm going to now. One of
Dude,
my,
it's amazing.
I read just frustratingly quickly. Several of my team members will refuse to share screen with me because I'll read the whole thing in 20 seconds, and then then they're like, I know you stopped listening because you read everything, and there you go. I read a lot of books.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll definitely put it in the pile. What a good resource to have. I do like how to get to Plan B, and a ton of what I teach at Founder Institute and Startup Hub Warsaw and CXO Marketing, all these places, is the faster you can be wrong, the better it is.
Yeah.
Because
yes,
starting out, you're not right. Or at least if you don't know you're not right, you're going to find out real fast that you're not right. So the faster you can be wrong a couple of times and then find what the right is, the better off you are.
100%. Yep. And then embracing that and without losing enthusiasm is just really important. Because if you're going to get beaten and lose your enthusiasm when you realize you're not right, you're not going to make it. You're not going to be that cockroach that survives.
It is the 10th time you've tried something and it didn't work out. It can be quite dispiriting. But if you're able to embrace, not, I tried 10 things and they were all wrong, but I did 10 things and look at what I've learned.
Yeah.
That's the mental switch.
Right on.
So let me ask you, right? I think most founders who are successful, they have interesting backgrounds, right? You worked for Senator John Thune. You were a foreign operator, a fitness instructor. You're still pretty fit these days, especially compared to me. How have all these experiences shaped what you do as a founder now?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think it's really about getting to know who I am. And I think I've learned a little bit about me in any one of these capacities, and I've taken something and so naturally take a personality test. I am off the charts curious, annoyingly curious to a lot of people. And if you're at an airport and there's 10,000 people there, there's likelihood that someone on a test wouldn't score higher curiosity than me. It should be with my wife in an airport, actually. It's frustrating for her, the things that I'm wondering about. But anyways, I think that curiosity takes me in different threads. And typically I I learned things along the way. And so when I worked for Northern, I was on my way to law school and wanted to be a politician myself. And he contacted me through his chief of staff and offered me a job after a cup of coffee and a 5-hour meeting with the senator himself. And what that was all about is I knew that I was interested in government and politics and wanted to figure it out. And what now I learned that I don't want anything to do with running for office at all. But I learned how to promote yourself, how to maintain integrity in a time where there's not always a lot of integrity around you. I learned how to show up and be in a good mood or be there for your team, even when everything else is going wrong. So I was his direct congressional aide. So I would see the kind of the crud in the background that he would have to deal with, or people that were shouting in his face. But then when he would get to a team member, he was very generous and graceful. And I learned at a young age that, like, regardless of politics, there's a human, you can do that on a human level, and you can almost be a machine to a point where you're like, I can power through, let something that's bothering me not ruin Trevor's day. And then as you move on from there, I was into fitness. So I'm like, hey, I want to do all this. So I want to start fitness business, and then I'm going to learn about it. So I found myself as a yoga, kickboxing instructor because I was going to start a fitness business myself. Realized there that starting a business just because you like it, enjoy it, probably is the best thing to do. You might just run out of steam. And then on the farm, farming is one big leap of faith every year and a entrepreneurial endeavor. So this is my family farm. 3 of my siblings are still on it. And what I've found there was there's a lot of trust. There's a lot of leaps of faith. There's doing everything you can, but not getting frustrated when things don't go your perfect way. And I think that really comes down to when I was pretty young, like 3rd grade, our family farm went completely belly up and we lost everything, went bankrupt. And I saw my dad starting companies, and saying he had so much pride in the farm that he was going to rebuild the farm too. So he started these companies. He didn't need the money anymore because some of these companies, this was 7 or 8 years, but he built them back up to be really successful businesses. But he still wanted to build that farm. I always wanted to look for a thing that I was like, even if it wasn't for the money, I'd want to build it and I want to do it. And I saw that in farming. And so I always wanted to stay very close to that and have taken a lot from that experience as well.
Cool. It's interesting how all these little pieces fit together. And then you can look back at it, like most founders can look back at it and say, all those pieces are why I do this now. But moving forward through it, this is a sensible path to a destination.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm doing this now.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's the same for me. I did theater for a decade.
Okay.
You might tell of my overly flamboyant
I like it.
expressionism, which works really well for communication. Both my parents, English doctorates. That's why I have a vocabulary that's entirely unnecessary. But also it means in the era of AI, being able to express yourself extremely precisely is a superpower. And so I find myself building and launching AI products frequently now because it's easy for me to make them. Vibe coding, right? So it's weird how we get here.
Seriously. It's awesome.
You've got a line in your LinkedIn profile I saw about when you were a farm operator. Shoot the breeze, cuss the weather, and catch the sunset. Is that an aphorism from your family? I've never heard it before. My wife's family was farmers. I've never heard it before. Is it an invention, or is it one that you just heard floating around in your community?
Yeah, so it was probably a bit of the way that Taylor talks generally as a true farm boy at heart. But I think what you do as farmers is what you do really as a startup founder. You can get upset about the circumstances that lay before you. You also try to enjoy the good moments that come alongside of it. And I think there's just a lot of anecdotes that translate between being a farmer, being an entrepreneur, and even being a content creator. And so it's the way that I talk, it's the way that my brothers and sister talk. And it's something that you just do. We don't have enough rain. We have too much rain. It's windier than ever. Oh, the wind's great for the crops. Everything not looking good today. The market just tanked, but the sunset's beautiful. So you just hang out and then you try to enjoy the little moments. Like shooting the shit is something that no one does better than a pack of farmers. And I take that here. I just think like life's pretty short. I don't like to team up with people that I don't enjoy being around. For example, I always like part of my interviewing process is, are they fun? Are they a fun person? And it comes from that as well. I just want to spend time with people I enjoy spending time with. And so that kind of be how I translate it a little bit.
Awesome. Okay. If you were able to go back in time to, I don't know, Farmer Taylor, who was not aware of what you'd be doing these days, other than buy Bitcoin, what's one piece of advice you'd give yourself back in the day?
Hmm. I would say gets, I didn't do this with the first handful of my companies and they went nowhere. And that was get truly started on something and commit till it hurts and then decide. And if you're going to start a company, do it. If you're going to be a bear, be a grizzly bear for at least a little while and then just go for it. And then commit deep enough to really understand if it works, if it's going to work, these sort of things. I think there's a lot of chin scratching entrepreneurs out there that want to keep thinking and strategizing and figuring things out. And it's a great way to never get anything done and build something that no one wants. And so that's where I would people go there. And then leading up to Popfly, I had 500 plus. I stopped counting after 500. So I don't know exactly how many more, but conversations with people in different categories. Most of them started centralizing as they found a thread, then I just kept pulling on that thread. But the more you talk to people, the more of a universal understanding you may get. It's maybe not even the right thing. Popfly collaboration software wasn't what came out of those, but it was enough to build something that actually I thought was very boring that took off because there was a momentum and I could speak the narrative. And when I launched with a verbiage and a vocabulary that made sense to a lot of people, and people started signing up.
Awesome. All right. The last question I always like to ask as we wrap these things up is if people want to find out more about you or about Popfly, how do they look you up online? Where do they go?
Yeah, I would say I'm most active on LinkedIn. I don't have an Instagram, don't have a TikTok, don't have a YouTube. I haven't for a long time. Don't have Facebook. So LinkedIn is where I do have an active profile. Popfly.com is of course a place to go. And in our social media, I know that our team really wants me to start creating a lot more founder content. So you'll probably start hearing from me a lot more often. We just took on an excellent head of content. She's promoting and pushing for that. And I usually do what she says. You'll start seeing us probably across Instagram as well, but on a little bit more third degree basis. I'll be directly involved in LinkedIn.
Awesome. In that case, thank you so much for your time today, Taylor.
Thanks, Trevor.
I appreciate getting this chance to chat with you. And you had some great insights and some great recommendations. I really appreciate it. If you, the listener, are not yet subscribed to this channel, be sure to give a like, a follow, a subscribe. We're putting stuff out every week now from founders just like Taylor. And we've had other great guests on the show, of course, and we'd love for you to pay attention as we have more. Thanks, everybody. See you next week.
Thanks, Trevor.